everyone, once again, and welcome to another episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock, and today we're having our women's basketball season review show. And joining me to do so is women's basketball head coach Tiffany Selhorst. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Caleb.
Well, let's start out just by talking about the season. How did this past season go?
Well, it was a season of firsts. It was very good overall. Really proud of the girls. For anybody that came out and saw us play against Taylor on November 1st and then came out and watched us play even Asbury at the very end, can hopefully say that there was a lot of adjustments that were made. We got a lot better, and the future is bright for us.
Now, in what ways do you think that the team progressed from that beginning game against Taylor to the Asbury game in the conference championship?
Well, one of the biggest ways was we were averaging almost, in between 30 and 35 turnovers for every game for the first few. But, our turnovers went down, which meant the team chemistry went up. We were starting to know where we were supposed to be offensively. Defensively, I think, that took us a little bit longer to adjust to, but that's kind of my fault as a coach because, you kind of have to pick and choose what to work on at the beginning of the season. You got about a month. We had about a month and a half to prepare, and, we spent a little bit more time on offense, but that will change.
Well, the team ended up with a 19-14 record, conference runner-ups, and did the team exceed your expectations this year?
Well, I don't want this to sound bad, but no, they didn't. They did pretty much what I expected. I know what kind of talent we have and the girls that we have on the team, so I know what we can do and what we're capable of. I do feel like there was a few games here and there that got away from us, and we didn't play with our best effort. And then there were some games out there that we just put it all out on the line, and maybe we still lost. But it was just a little bit better. We just felt better overall about it. But yeah, I think we exceeded a lot of expectations that were around here. But for us as a team, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, we know what we are capable of doing. So next year is going to be fun. Future's bright.
Right.
That's my new motto, I think. Future is bright.
Well, like you said, the future is bright. In what ways would you like to see the team improve between now and the beginning of next season?
Well, the first and the main thing we've got to improve on is defense. And I think that, again, comes with a lot of chemistry. We spent a lot of time on offense this year, and I get that. But now that we kind of understand that side of it, now defensively we need to, have some key points that we will hold each other accountable to and get better. And just knowing that and just, seeing a play happen before it happens. I think some of our girls are capable of doing that on the offensive end, but we just never really got, accepted that on the defensive end. We also need to get a little bit bigger inside and rebound a little bit better. I think both offensively and defensively and rebounding, those are the three categories that we need to be at least top 15 in the nation if we want to make a splash anywhere. So we will bring in a little bit of size next year too.
All right. Well, who were some of the key players for the team this year?
We always boast about not having any superstars on our team and everybody really buying into having team chemistry and what makes us so dangerous is you can shut down one person, but then somebody else is going to step up. I know several times Mackenzie Campbell saw maybe a box and one on her, and then there was even one game there was a triangle and two on Mackenzie Campbell and Kristen Miller, and then that just opens it up for other kids to do what they need to do.
Here's Brooke Peck.
Tia had several big games, but if you try to shut her down, then Mac would step up, or Kristen would step up, or Brooke would step up. It just, that's what we boast. Is there one key player to this team? No, I don't think so. We just need to continue to grow as a unit and as a family, and hopefully I'm never talking about one kid.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about Tia King. She was named the NAIA Division II Player of the Week and also the KIC Player of the Week all in the same week. What does that mean to her and to the team?
Well, We talked a lot about that. We come together as a team in a huddle before practice. I congratulated her. That's an awesome thing. But it's awesome for all of us and as a team. She doesn't score all those points if somebody's not out getting steals on the other end, or if somebody's not passing her the ball up to get some of those layups, or people aren't setting the screens for her or whatever. It was a team effort, and I really felt like Tia knew that and accepted that and thanked her teammates for that, and we were able to share as a team in that award. So her name was on it, but really it was an award for the whole team. So proud of all of them.
Now, what are some of the ways that you talk about not picking one certain player to talk about or whatever, that you're really stressing team chemistry? How are some of the ways that you're trying to get the team to understand that team chemistry?
Well, one thing that's really good about our team is they are very close. They do a lot of, and this is initiated by them, but they'll do a lot of team bonding stuff off of the court. We also don't really have one set position for anybody. Right. Bailey is a perfect example. There were several times this year where she would be playing the point guard, and then all of a sudden Kerrigan would get into foul trouble, and I'd have to sub somebody in for push Bailey down, and she's playing the 5. Right. I think this year it was kind of hard to do that, but I really wanted every single person on the team to know every single position, because now that makes us stronger. So right. At any position. So next year we'll be able to assign, you to this wing or you to this wing and play strengths a little bit more. But I think that was one way that we developed a lot of chemistry, is that everybody was able to know every position.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the games this past season. We'll start with the November 11th game against Wilberforce. We'll show some of the clips as well. But tell us about that first game against Wilberforce.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
You weren't there? Oh, yeah, you weren't there, were you? I forgot about that.
No, I watched online, but yes, I was unable to make that game. It was our first home game, but, the girls played hard. They were well prepared for that, and they were ready to go. And they were riding high off of a win against Roosevelt. So, it was good.
All right. Well, moving on to December, we'll talk about the December 18th game. Kristen Miller couldn't seem to miss behind the arc in that game against Central State.
Central State. Oh yeah, that was a fun game for us. Because that's one of those games you could play in a lot of freedom. We weren't expected to win that, so I think all the girls came out and just played hard. I mean, this team, well, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
They were big. And we had nobody that could even match up with them. But, sometimes that's almost better because you have nothing to lose. You can just play as hard as you want.
I think I will always remember that, Jim. I don't know if you saw what happened to me before the game, my little trip down the bleachers.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, you did see that?
That was great. That was a good trip.
The bleachers broke on me, so that's always fun, one to remember. I do not look at bleachers the same since then, let me tell you. I take the stairs now. Moving on, January 11th, that was the first 100-point game by the team at Cincinnati Claremont. Tell us about that game.
Oh, that was another fun game. I think there was a lot of freedom in that one, too, because we had just got done playing Rio Grande for the first time and lost. It was a good measuring stick for us to play Rio. But then the next day we had to come out and play again because of the scheduling changes late in the season, and we were able to just, play in a lot of freedom. Everybody got on in the game. We were allowed to switch up a lot of defense and work a lot of different philosophies, I think one of their best players. Well, actually, she ended up going off on us, but they didn't have much else around her that game, so we were able to kind of have fun.
Now, being able to win a game by that many points, was that a big confidence booster for the team?
I think maybe not so much by what we won by, but just how we were able to play. I think that was the first game that the girls came together and set their own defensive goal, because at that point we had realized that we really need to change our defensive mindsets. So they came up with a defensive goal. They didn't even tell the coaching staff, and they just went out and tried to keep that. So we were able to run a 2-3 zone, a 1-3-1, man-to-man, try some different things with the man-to-man. I think we were doing some hedging on some screens and some switching, and but it was able to. Everybody was able to really hang on to that and want to play hard because they set that goal for the first time.
All right. Well, let's talk about the February 5th game against IU Kokomo. Tell us about that one.
Is that home or away?
That would have been home.
Home? Okay, that was another good one. Sometimes having a team full of freshmen, you never know what you're going to get on the floor at the time. And I remember that one specifically because our shoot-around that morning was not very good. So I was a little bit nervous. I remember talking to the Kokomo coach before saying, you guys might get us tonight because it doesn't seem like we're very focused. But then somehow these freshmen come together and they figure it out in the locker room before we go out and play and got it together and played hard. I think that was our Think Pink game too, so maybe it was the pink jerseys, I don't know.
All right, well, the last game I'll ask you about was in March, the conference championship game in the tournament. We're leading in that game there for a while, but what happened?
Well, we had lost a few players, key players in the beginning of the season or around Christmas time, and, there are good things and bad things about that. It did force us to kind of step up and create a lot of team chemistry without them. But the bad side of it was that we lost a couple of people that would share some minutes. It almost seemed like you could just tell that the girls were putting everything they absolutely had into that game, and for 35 minutes. But, collectively, at about that 5-minute mark with 5 minutes to go, we just hit that wall. Our brains stopped working. We were making not smart passes. We couldn't, get back on defense. We were letting them drive in. We kind of got away from the game plan, and all it took was 5 minutes. They also had a very big crowd there, which I think played into it a lot. But the good side of that was our kids were able to see how important it is to win the regular season, so we can play in front of our crowd and be able to have that behind us. But yeah, I no complaints. They put everything they had into that game. We just ran out of steam.
Now, with that game in mind, and coming up 3 points short of a trip to the national tournament, do you think that'll leave somewhat of a sour taste in the girls' mouths, wanting to get to the national tournament before next year?
I think so. We have already had our end of the year meetings, and every kid has re-signed and wanted to come back. That speaks volumes for this team as a whole, but not just the team chemistry side of it, but just their competitive side of it. I think we all just felt like we were a little bit robbed. So I know that they are all ready. Without me initiating anything, they're getting in the gym, they're getting in their weight room on their own, and they're already trying to get better. So it's good when a player will text you on a Saturday night and say, hey, what can I work on in this off season? Sometimes you need to tell them, hey,
right.
You need to take some time off, and then let's talk about it, and we'll get you there. So, right. Yeah, I think this is a really special team. So we're ready. We want to go to nationals.
All right. Well, you mentioned that all of them have re-signed, but you've also had 2 signed to be a part of the team. That's Danielle Carnes, who stands 6'2", and also Libby Springmeyer, who's 5'9" point guard. Tell us about them.
Okay. We actually have 4 signed. I signed 2 this week. I haven't told you guys about that yet, but that's okay. Danielle, 6'2". She is a very versatile player. I know everybody knows that we need some size in there, and you're probably thinking, oh, finally we got this center. The great thing about Danielle is she fits in with our offensive philosophies in that she can play any position. She has a nice 3-point shot. We'll get it a little bit more consistent, but she does really well with that. She can dribble. She is one of the best passers that I've seen. She can see inside and pass it inside. I think that her and Kerrigan are really going to play well off of each other. Libby Springmeyer, she's one of those players that coaches love because one, she's a natural leader. She's got this built-in competitiveness that you can see every time on the floor. She's very vocal about it. She has a way of getting her teammates to play for her. It'll be interesting to see how her coming in as a freshman plays with these sophomores. But I'm not really worried. I can already tell in that 2015 class we have a natural leader. She's 5'9", in height, but probably has a 6-foot wingspan. She's also very smart on the defensive end, which, a couple of the holes that we needed to fill were, one, we need some height and we need some better defensive people. So she's very smart on that end.
Can you tell us anything about the other two? Or?
Yeah, one of them is Adriana Moore from Preble Shawnee. Another one of those hardworking kids. The thing that attracted us most to her was that she was that person that does the intangible things. She dives on the floor. She, battles for every rebound. I think she's going to fit in really well with this group and playing hard every single day and pushing kids to get better. The other one is Sarah Cook from Rushville. Obviously, we've made a nice little pipeline from Rushville to IU East. We're excited about her as well. She is very similar to Mackenzie Campbell, a little bit bigger than Mackenzie. I think those two will play well together, and it's almost a scary thing when you think about all three of those Rushville kids on the floor at the same time. So, but very versatile. She's about 5'10", 5'11", a body like Mac, can shoot, can drive, can, put an elbow in your nose, whatever you need her to do. She's able to do that. Very versatile.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for joining me. Good luck next season. Congratulations on this season, though. However, women's team finishes up 19-14 on the season, 7-7 in the KIAC, also the KIAC tournament runner-ups. We'll be right back with more Inside IUE Sports.
This is where a busy mom can work toward a bachelor's degree from a top national university during softball practice. It's where a service member can continue his college studies from anywhere in the world, and where you'll benefit from one of the country's most effectively delivered online programs.
Woohoo!
So, if you've ever wondered if a college education is really worth it, this is where you'll see that it is. This is Indiana University East Online.
And welcome back to more Inside IUE Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Gillock. Today we're having our women's basketball season review show. Now joining me is Bailey Dryman and Tia King. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Well, let's start out by asking you just how did the season go? Bailey, we'll start with you.
As a first-year program, I think that it went really well. I mean, we got so far in the season. At first, it did start a little rocky, but you expect that with all freshmen. And I think where we ended up at the end of the season was such an accomplishment, and there's so much improvement, and there's still so much more room for improvement. So,
how about you, Tia?
Kind of what she said, going off of her. I think we didn't think we would get so far. When we came here in July, we were like, well, we may make it to the conference. We may, we're not wishing to go to nationals, but then come February, we're like, we can go to nationals and we can do something that, make history. First women's team, first year, and make it to nationals. And even though we didn't do it, now we set a goal. Now we can make it to the conference tournament. And now we just have to win it. Right.
Well, Coach Selhorst said you didn't really surpass our expectations as a team, but it sounds like you guys as a team thought that you exceeded your expectations. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's move on and talk a little bit more. Did the season end the way that you hoped it would? I mean, of course, losing by 3 in the tournament championship is not exactly ideal, but as a season as a whole, did it end the way you expect it would? Bailey?
I mean, no. I don't like to lose. I'm all about winning. But, I mean, at the same time, you just have to think how well, we did do, kind of going back to your first question and everything. But definitely would have liked to have been in Iowa and experienced that, especially as all freshmen. But, I mean, at the same time, like, we just have to be so happy to where we got and, like, what we accomplished.
How about you, Tia?
No. Just because nobody thought we would get as far as we did besides us on the team. Like, people were like, oh, yeah, your first-year team did good, won a couple games. But they didn't think, oh, you're only 3 games away from nationals. You're only 2 games away. Now you're only 1 game away. And then it started getting real, and then they start, you know, cheering us on even more and encouraging us. And how we started is definitely not how we finished. We came together, and we're a team now that look like we've been playing for years, and we've only known each other since July. And so I think we have a lot more to offer going along the road, and we're only freshmen. And for us to accomplish that as just freshmen is more to come.
Now, you had some accomplishments of your own. You received a couple of awards. Would you like to tell us about those?
I won the KIAC Conference Player of the Week award, and then that next day I was told that I won the National Player of the Week for Division II NAIA.
And what does that mean to you?
I think it's really good, but I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't have received those awards if it wasn't for the team and us working together. And I think just even though it was me that won it, I think it put us on the map for them to realize that we're not just a one-year team. We're actually pretty good.
Now, Bailey, how do you think that you played this season as an individual?
I kind of had to do some different things this season than what I'm used to. I mean, coming out of high school, I played a guard, I played a 5. And I guess I did that this year too, but I mean, I didn't score a whole lot, and like, that's fine. But like, look how far we went, and I wasn't scoring, and I wasn't doing things. Like, I just try hard to do the little things, like set good screens, go get rebounds, and, you know, get the ball to the people that do score, like Tia and, you know, Kristen and Mac and everybody like that. So, I mean, I kind of fell into that kind of role, and hopefully I'll get, like, my scoring up, and I'll be able to contribute more as a team, and hopefully that'll help everyone as a whole.
Right. So how do you feel like you did this season?
I think I did pretty good. I feel like there's always room for improvement, and me and Coach talked about it in our end-of-the-year meetings on what I can get better and work on. But I'd never imagined me being a National Player of the Week or a Conference Player of the Week, and it just shows how hard work can take you. And then when you don't realize, like, how much you score and you don't worry about that, it just comes to you. And even if you don't score, like, Bailey contributes a lot. Even if she doesn't put points on the board, she gets the ball to us, she sees the floor. And me being in high school, coming from a high school where I couldn't run the floor anymore how I used to, now being back to being able to run the floor and really fast with running the floor, and she can see that, it just goes hand in hand and it works out perfectly.
All right, well, let's move on and talk a little bit about some of the games. The first one being a Spring Arbor game. Bailey, you had a 3-point play that you were able to make there. We'll show that here in just a second. But tell us about the Spring Arbor game.
Well, we didn't play very good. I think we ended up losing, and that was kind of tough for all of us. We really wanted that win.
The Red Wolves.
But I don't know.
Yeah, pass the ball.
Do you have anything to add to the Spring Arbor game, Tia?
Not really. I just feel like we could have played better, I think. I think it was a close game that entire time, but if we would have just put a little more effort in the end and trying to pull away, it could have been a difference. But we learned that longer down the road.
All right, well, the last game that I'll ask you about was down in Kentucky. It was the KIAC championship game, 3 points away from a trip to Sioux City. But, what does it mean to be that close to the national tournament for a first-year program, Bailey?
It hurts. It hurts a lot more than if we would have lost the first round of conference or we would have lost to Rio. It hurts that much more because we got so close. Right. We were, winning by 10-plus points at one part of that game. And, towards the end, we kind of got away from ourselves and we thought we had to switch up our offense and ways to score. And I think that kind of hurt us a little bit. And, just a few things here and there, and, we stay up. But at the same time, that's such a learning experience, and I think that we're all pretty mad about it, and so we're going to come out next year and we're going to be hungry for it, I think.
Right. Anything you'd like to add to that?
Like she said, we was up by 10 plus, and I actually think that they didn't realize the difference in the teams that they played from the first game to when they beat us 20 plus, and then them only beating us by 3. They didn't think that we would come out like that. They just thought that it would be an easy game, and it wasn't. So even though we lost, they know who we are now. They know we're not just going to back down without a fight, and they know it's some competition and that we're only freshmen, and now we're about to be sophomores. So it's not like, oh, so-and-so's leaving. No, we're all coming back, and we have a chip on our shoulder now to beat them even more, and it started a rivalry, I think.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me. Congratulations on a great season. We look forward to another great season next year and hopefully a trip to the national tournament. That concludes this week's episode of Inside IUE Sports. I'm Caleb Gillock, your host. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.